Summer doesn't officially begin until June 21st, but let's be honest. Summer begins when it gets hot out and that sun is blazing down on your head and you are drenched in sweat all across your entire uniform. So today I want to talk about 5 ways that you can be better prepared for summertime airsoft this year. What's up, Airsofters? My name is Lane and welcome to the Baby Warrior. We're here to help you have a better time both on and off the airsofting field, and if this is something that you think that you would enjoy, I would love to have you subscribe for more airsofting content every Tuesday and Friday here on the channel. Now why don't we start off with one of the first pieces of advice that I have for you today, and this one is going to be one of the most drastic. However, if you're running a plate carrier, I would greatly suggest switching over to a chest rig. Now the reason I say that is that chest rigs allow more breathability and is less of a load on your body, making you not work as hard. Something that I find with people who use plate carriers is that they have the mentality of no molly left behind, and they absolutely load up their plate carrier with pouches, some that they don't even need. Now ounces lead to pounds, and pounds lead to exhaustion. So what I would do, if you are not going to switch over to a chest rig, take off stuff that you don't need on your plate carrier. And I know some people are going to say, as a counter argument, well, Lane, I need to carry water, right? Because that's probably one of your advices for this video, and it actually is. But I need to carry water on the airsofting field. How am I going to do that with a chest rig because there's nothing on my back? And that's a fairly good point. However, what I personally like to do is I like to run a chest rig and then a backpack. Now, while there are 2 sets of straps you have to deal with, I find that it's really not a pain if you just clip in the strap that goes right here. However, I find that backpack and chest rig combos, 1, they weigh less, 2, there's more breathability for your sides, you get some air in there to naturally cool you off, and typically it's easier to reach things on your back because if you have a standalone backpack versus a mollied on backpack, you can't get to that mollied backpack unless you take off your entire load bearing system. Whereas with a just strap backpack, just take it off and grab whatever you need in there. When you have it mollied onto your back, you need someone to get it for you. And that can be a real pain, especially if you're by yourself, because then you have no one to get it for you. You're gonna have to take off your entire chest rig, or your entire plate carrier, excuse me, and that's just a pain. So I highly advise running a chest rig and then a backpack. And the nice thing about that system is it can be scaled. And if you've been on the channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love and need scalability in my kits. So what I do personally is if I'm at a game where I'm going to be out in the field for a while, I'll keep the backpack with me. However, if I'm at a pickup game or a game where the games end pretty fast or I'm going to be at my respawn fairly often, I'll leave the backpack there and then just carry some water bottles on me in my cargo pockets of my G3 combat pants. So I find that that's great because when I don't need the extra weight of the backpack, I can just take it off and then I have the nice breathability on my back of a chest rig. So I would highly advise, if you have not already, to switch over to a chest rig. They're lighter, they can carry the necessities, and you really don't overpack. And this advice is for the typical airsoft game. Now if you're at Milsim West and you want to run plates and a helmet to get the advantages of an extra tourniquet, that's a whole different discussion. Today we're just talking about your standard pickup game or a Milsim event where you don't get an advantage for wearing plates. However, I find that when people do wear plate carriers, they overload it and that's going to exhaust you faster and that's really just going to make you tired where you could have just gotten a chest rig and you'd be better off. Now this next piece of advice is pretty simple, but a lot of people don't even think about it. Bring water. I cannot tell you how many people do not bring water to airsoft games, and it's ridiculous. You need water. Water is your body's coolant. It's what allows you to sweat, and that's going to make sure that your body gets cooled down so that you don't go into a state of heat exhaustion. So how much water you bring really depends on how much you're going to go through in a day. I can't tell you how much water to bring because everyone's body is different. But for me personally, I bring 3 liters of water and a gallon. Now the reason I say separate, 3 liters of water is for me. I probably won't go through 3 liters of water in a day. However, it's one of those things I'd rather have and have the weight of than need and not have on me. And then that extra gallon of water isn't for me at all. It's for everyone else. Because if there's one thing that you can count on airsofters to be, it's unprepared. Airsofters love to be unprepared if you haven't noticed. And a lot of them don't bring water. I mean, there are people who are coming out to airsoft on 95-degree days with 100% humidity with Mountain Dew and Pepsi rather than water. And Gatorade is not water. Let's get that out there. Gatorade is not water. you need actual water to make sure that you cool your body down. So I bring that extra gallon of water for other people. Now, that's something that I'd advise. It's just one of those things to be friendly to people. So despite what team you're on, if you need water and you see me at a game, come find me. I probably have extra water specifically for that reason. The third thing I want to talk about is something that really, really pains me because I love them, but switch over to a combat shirt if you have not. Now, I love field shirts. I absolutely adore them. I think that they're really cool and they add that perfect aesthetic for me, but combat shirts are fantastic in the summer. And if you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, a combat shirt is the one with the material in the center that is not camouflage, so like your Cry combat shirts, your LBX combat shirts, whereas a field shirt is kind of like your standard BDU, like what I'm wearing here. As you can see, this is all NICO, whereas a combat shirt has a fire-resistant material or some sort of Under Armour style fabric if you're using one of the knockoffs. Like I know TMC does moisture wicking material like an Under Armour shirt, or you can get like the New Balance combat shirts. And I really like those designs because while they aren't built as good as say a Cry combat shirt or a Patagonia combat shirt, the moisture wicking center is really nice because it draws some of the moisture away from your body so you don't end up absolutely drenched. Now, most combat shirts, or most combat shirts meant for the military or law enforcement, have a fire-resistant material so that obviously when it catches on fire, it doesn't stick to your body and give you the worst burns of your life. However, in an Airsofter's combat shirt like TMC, I believe some Moppo does as well, they use moisture wicking. And I'd highly advise getting a moisture wicking base layer as well, because if you're going to wear cotton on a hot summer day, cotton absorbs moisture, excuse me. So I know this is going to be too much information, and I know you're going to be like, oh, BB Warrior, that's gross. Don't wear cotton underwear to airsoft because that's going to lead to rashes and things that are going to be very uncomfortable, more uncomfortable than this conversation. So a moisture wicking base layer is a great thing to have. And again, go for a combat shirt. Now, if you can't afford a combat shirt, even though you can find the knockoff ones pretty affordable, just make sure that you're wearing moisture wicking t-shirts or things like that so that all that moisture that gets absorbed by the NICO doesn't just stay there and become very uncomfortable. And combat shirts are more comfortable when wearing load-bearing equipment like chest rigs or plate carriers. The next thing I want to talk about is a good pair of boots. Boots are really important when you're playing outdoor because terrain is more treacherous than when you're playing indoor during the winter. Most indoor fields just have a flat concrete floor, whereas when you go outside, there are a ton of variables that could really mess up your knees or your ankles if you trip. So I always advise a very nice pair of high top boots, something like Merrell if you're on a budget, Solomon, Loa if you have some more money, but make sure that you get something with a lot of ankle support because when you go to an outdoor field, there is just more variables in the terrain. There's rocks, there's sticks, there's stumps from trees. Something that I found, at least here in Western New York, is that it's been raining a lot. It's been raining like the last 40 out of 60 days where I live. So when I go to play Airsoft, all the ground is turned to mud, and I always play on Sundays. So the people on Saturday are playing in that malleable mud. However, it hardens up overnight, and then when I get to go play on Sunday, the ground is rigid and it has dimples in it from where people were moving. So the terrain becomes really treacherous, and I find that a lot of people are falling and hurting themselves. So having that higher top boot allows you to not roll your ankle and get really hurt, because you could have the Gucciest gear and the best gun, but if you roll your ankle and you can't play, that really sucks and you just wasted a lot of money. So make sure that you guys pick up a good pair of boots. My number 5 tip for this countdown is to get rid of your helmet. Now I know helmets are really cool and they make you look really cool, and that's what Airsoft is all about, is looking cool, right? Well, I know I'm going to break that rule for a minute. Helmets get hot. Helmets get obnoxiously hot. Whether you have a nice one, whether you have a nice replica, whether you have a bad replica, whether you have a real helmet, they get really hot really fast, and that becomes uncomfortable. So, especially if you're wearing a ballistic style helmet, like I have a maritime style helmet from OpsCore. Now, while there are options that are in the real world rated for just fragmentation, like you have the Cry airframe, you have the Team Wendy series of helmets, you have the OpsCore Carbon, which do have ventilation holes in them, especially the airframe, they still get obnoxiously hot. And while we're on the subject of putting things or taking things off of your head and putting new ones on, I'd highly suggest getting fan goggles. My ESS turbo fans are easily the best investment I have ever made in airsoft. Having the fan that takes away the fog and just cools my face down in general has been invaluable for both summer and winter airsoft. So I would highly suggest switching over to a baseball cap, a boonie hat, or something like that. I do have a bonus tip for you guys today. The final one that we're going to talk about today, which is the number 6 reason, but we're going to call it a bonus, is wearing bug spray and sunscreen. Now, these are very minor things that a lot of people don't think about, myself included. However, ticks are on the rise this year. Ticks are everywhere, and depending where you are in the country, ticks can carry some pretty nasty diseases that you would not want to get. So, go grab some bug spray from Walmart. They come in the little tiny ones, they come in the big spray bottles, and while you're at it, buy some sunscreen, because ticks suck and so does sunburn. I'm the type of guy that likes to roll their sleeves, and it sucks going into work on Monday with red as a tomato arms in the back of my neck. I've gotten sunburn on my face while playing airsoft. It's just something you don't really think about because you're wearing the mask and the mesh, but you can get sunburn on your face while you're playing airsoft. And sunburn really sucks and can lead to some health issues in the future. So pick up bug spray, pick up sunscreen, make sure that you guys are staying safe there on the airsofting field. That's going to do it for this video where I talk about 5 of my tips plus a bonus to make sure that you're prepared for summertime airsoft. Did you agree with the things I said on my list, or there were some things that you disagreed? Make sure to let me know down in the comments below, and if you have any of your own tips, make sure to post them as well. I love it when you guys comment and we start a discussion down in the comments below. If this was your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe for more airsofting content like this every Tuesday and Friday here on the channel. We got some really exciting things coming up, and I'd love to have you be a part of it. Make sure to follow us on social media. Links will be down in the description below, right below that subscribe button. This has been Lane from the BB Warrior talking about 5 plus 1 ways to be more prepared for summertime airsoft, and I will see you all next time.